Simon Attang, aka Simon A, is a London-based artist coming from East London, who focuses on several areas of art. Primarily, Simon is a singer, songwriter, rapper and producer, but also a filmmaker of his own music videos. Inspired by various genres, including hip-hop, indie, R&B, classical and house music, he covers a broad range of topics such as mental health, relationships, social media and self-love. Simon thinks about art quite deeply, which is reflected in his lyrics, sound, structure and basically everything around it. While working on his music career, he is also proficient as a filmmaker. He crafts his music videos as truly as his songs, thanks to the filmmaking knowledge he gained while studying film at the university in London. Listen to this episode to find out how Simon planned his music career in detail, what it is like to perform on a live stage for an audience, and what unusual hobby led him to start a music career in the first place. Enjoy! Hello Simon, thank you for joining us and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me. Pleasure.
So, can you briefly introduce yourself? Are you a musician or a filmmaker or both?
I guess I would lean more towards the musician for now, but I do, make my music videos, so I do have a lot of filmmaking tendencies, especially when I'm making a lot of the content for social media right now. But yeah, I would say musician to be fair. But yeah, my name is Simon. My artist name is Simon A, all lowercase with a full stop at the end. And yeah, I'm a musician I would classify artist. I would just say artist. Simon A, I'm an artist from East London, Walthamstow, East London. I've been here my entire life. And yeah, at the moment I'm just, making a bit of music.
Can you say what kind of music do you produce?
I make kind of like alternative, like indie soul music, like electronic, a little bit of R&B in there. But yeah, generally just like the genre boundaries are like...
So it's not rap, is it?
I do rap as well, but I wouldn't classify myself as a rapper though. So I use the rapping as a tool to tell specific stories that I might need to tell that I wouldn't be able to sing or would be better told in rap form. Do you know what I mean? So I do rap, but mainly I sing, I guess.
Yeah. Can you compare it to some famous artist that your music is similar to?
I could give a few. I'll give a few. I think James Blake is probably a really good comparison point. There's a bit of Frank Ocean in there, to be fair. Kendrick Lamar. I think like neo-soul, not really neo-soul, but like the alternative R&B or soul artists like Solange, Brent Faiyaz. I guess these kind of artists that make the kind of like, what is this, but it sounds good, kind of that kind of thing.
Yeah, good description.
That's where I lean towards.
How long you been doing music?
I started properly releasing music maybe nearly 5 years ago now. Goodness gracious, the time. In 2018, I started properly releasing music. But I'd been kind of making music before that.
Just not officially?
Just not officially releasing it, yeah. Just like for myself. Well, it wasn't even for myself. I actually started out making birthday raps for my brother as a way for a present because I didn't have enough money for an actual present. So I was just like, let me just let me do a parody of a song and then rap, change the lyrics to like, it's your birthday on the rap. And then that was my present. So I started doing that. And then after a while, I got more into the production of the song because they used to just be parodies. They'd just be like a parody song like Kanye West, Jay-Z song, whatever like that.
Just different lyrics?
Just changing the lyrics on the beat, yeah. But then when I started also doing a similar thing for my friend, I started making my own beats for the raps. And then the beats just were getting more and more intricate. And at that point, I'd started using a program called Ableton, which is a program that people use to produce music. It's called a DAW, which is a digital audio workspace. And it's kind of like Premiere Pro for editors. You just go in there, you can make the instrumental, do all that, you can record in there. It's basically just a music making program. I started getting into it because I was making a short film at the time. And I wasn't even thinking about singing or rapping when I was doing this. I was working in Ableton. I was mainly just thinking about it because I wanted to score a film of mine. So I was making a short film. It was a short film called A Pixalypse. I just made it with my friends. And
so it wasn't for university?
It wasn't even. It was before I even went to uni. I made this in 2017. I actually started making it in 2013, 2014 in year 9. And then like it just took ages to like actually just finalize everything. People were wasting time to record. We had to like re-record segments loads of times.
But it's good that you still stayed with the project for
I was
so
like,
many years.
I'm making this film. There's no way I'm not making it at this point. It's over. And then like I was more so interested in like the post-production. As the post-production was just took ages because I wanted to get it I wanted to do some crazy things. So I started working in like 3D and stuff. And basically the film is just about, it's like a pixalypse. It's an apocalypse story wherein it's like alien species or whatever, but it's just these big purple cubes that just came and invaded the planet Earth. And it has something to do with like everybody turning into like pixelated versions of themselves. Like it's a disease. Like if you catch this disease, it's kind of like The Last of Us. You're just like immediately dead. Like there's no cure. So like a lot of the human race just got extinct. And so we follow like what we think is some of the last few survivors or like the last two survivors of it. And they've been living in a house and they just think, there must be more than this house. Like we've got to go outside and figure out what the hell's going on out there. If there's more to life, or figure out an answer to this. So they eventually do. And then, yeah.
Is the short finished by now, or are you still working?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, it was finished ages ago. It's been out on YouTube for a while. I'm sure you can find it if you search up.
How was the result? Was it good in the end?
I thought it was good when I'd made it. Now I look back and think, wow, that thing is kind of terrible. I think it has some interesting ideas. The writing of it, like the story of it, it's not as polished as I think I would have done. If I'd approached it now, I probably would have done. And obviously there was no budget. So like, things that we were using weren't like up to scratch. It didn't look like The Last of Us. It was like a, whatever kind of home, pure independent, like zero budget.
It was like 5 minutes, 20 minutes.
It was like 9 minutes long. So just literally shot that with my friends, edited that. And then I was like, I do want to make a score for this. I want to make music for it. I don't want to get like a YouTube library or whatever to score it. So I was on Ableton making the score. And that was the first time I actually got into production of music and was getting into like properly doing the film score and stuff. And if there's one thing I'm proud of in that film, it's the score. Because I think the score is like...
It's everything your work, the score, right?
Oh yeah, literally from scratch. I remember it because as I was filming the film, I had this idea for a motif that would go throughout, or like be kind of like a main theme. And it was just like this piano bit that was like that. And I was like, this thing is ringing in my head as I'm filming it. And then I did the post, it was like years later. I was like, as I'm filming it, I'm like, I'm going to do this. And then as I'm done with it, I bring that into Ableton and do that and, make the whole thing out of it. And it's like big, it's like orchestral. There's like violins and piano, and then it gets electronic towards the end. But there's some really interesting like musical ideas and synths present. So considering it's like the first piece of production I'd ever done, I look back at it sometimes, I'm like, wow, like...
Yeah, I mean, if it was before the university and such a project, it sounds like a great experience back then.
Oh, 100%. I was like, I really just made a short film. And I remember screening it in like my school. Loads of people came and watched the film and everyone was like, whoa, like, yeah, like that was kind of cool. I was like, yeah.
This guy has a future.
Well, that was funny because then I got voted, we did like the end of year like awards, like whatever, and I got voted most likely to be famous. It might have been because of that. I think it was because I don't even think I was singing at the time, but it was probably because of like my filmmaking.
So were you like credited as director, screenwriter, music designer, everything?
Literally, director, producer, editor, the whole thing. So that's why I didn't even put credits, because it's just literally 4 of us. There's like 4 of us or 5 of us making the film. And then a few of them were just, as in like, it was me editing the whole thing. Someone shot it. And then like the other 3 were just actors, pretty much. It wasn't even like that big of a crew. It was literally a skeleton crew. It was so small.
But it sounds like a great experience or preparation before going to university. Because then, you shot something, you knew some software, the stuff, how it works.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I knew at that point that I was interested in filmmaking. I wanted to pursue filmmaking. And in fact, I picked my A-levels to help get into filmmaking. I picked like photography, English literature for writing, philosophy for concepts. And then I also picked chemistry because whatever. I dropped that after like...
No surprise, I'm not a fan of chemistry either.
I know, I literally dropped that after like the first year. I was like, this is impossible. They were talking about moles, units, ionic bonds. I was like, do you know what? No, absolutely not for me, folks.
Especially for someone who wants to become a filmmaker.
I literally just picked it because I wanted a 4th A-level. And then I
Yeah.
was just like, you know, well, chemistry, whatever. And then I was like, yeah, actually, no.
Maybe if you are doing Breaking Bad, then it will be helpful.
Because the thing is, when I was watching Breaking Bad, I was like, some of the things were constant. I was like, yeah, I actually understand this. I learned this. I learned this in A level before I dropped that. But yeah, no. So I did that film, and then I'd wanted to score it, and that was when I just got interested in production and all that. But then, yeah, I mean, I got more into filmmaking as well, because that was the main ambition at that point. I wasn't really that interested in kind of like producing music, I suppose. And I went into uni, and, you know, I studied film, as did you, just got into there. And then it was like around in the middle of first year, as these kind of birthday raps were progressing more and more, and they were getting more intricate.
So you still continued with that?
Oh, I was doing it. I'm still doing it to this day.
Oh, still no.
It's fun. I think it's a fun tradition at this point.
It sounds like that, yeah.
As I was getting more into production, I was like actually purposefully making the instrumentals more and more crazy, like not really crazy like you can't listen to it, but just like really intricate, adding loads of instruments and like making them ebb and flow in different parts and stuff. And then I went to, in the middle of first year in 2018, I went to a Kendrick Lamar concert, and I ended up breaking my foot because I landed on it wrong. I was just jumping in the concert. I like landed on my left foot, and then I broke it. You know when you land and you land sideways?
Yeah.
And then so I snapped, and I felt it like ascend. It was like electricity. I felt it like throughout my entire body, and I even heard it. The music is loud. I'm in a concert, this guy's sick, but I heard the like that, and I was like, oh, but it didn't hurt immediately. I thought it was like a knuckle crack, you know, when you crack your knuckles. I thought I'd done that with my foot, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I could do that with my foot. Fair enough. But then I tried to stand on it, and it like hurt immediately. I was like, oh, okay, I can't stand on my foot. I think I might have just broken my foot. Fair enough.
So it was serious.
It was like, it was like an actual, like, I couldn't move my foot or anything like that. So I was like, yeah, I definitely just broke. I remember turning to as we were in the concert, I remember turning to my friends like, yeah, I just broke my foot. And then they were like, oh yeah. Anyway, because we're in the middle of that guy singing. I'm thinking, yeah, I hear you. So I can't leave. I'm not leaving. I'm going to just jump on one foot and whatever. And then at the end, after, I went to the hospital the next day, I ended up getting a cast and stuff. So that was in February 2018. Then when I was in the cast, about 2 months later, in April, there was another concert by an artist called Anderson .Paak, who was another big inspiration point for me. But that concert was free, and I didn't even get tickets. My friend got tickets. We managed to get in, but we came in and we went to see the line, O2 Academy Brixton, and the line was hella long. So, and I had the big boot, like when you break your foot and you get that like boot.
Yeah.
And stuff. My friend was just like, follow my lead. And we walked to the front, walked to the security guard. And then my friend was just like, no, my friend, you see, he can't walk. Look, he can't walk. Look. And then I was like, yeah, no, I can't walk. And then the security guard was like, come with me, quick. And basically we skipped the entire line, got to the front of the crowd. And then this was the friend I was making birthday raps for. So we were in the front of the crowd, and before a concert, they have like a kind of like, they're playing music in the background.
Yeah.
Like it's not an opening act, but they just kind of have like a playlist or radio going in the back. And I remember hearing a song and I said to my friend, I was like, I think I could really I think I could make this song, or I think I could recreate this in Ableton or something like that. And then he just looked at me and he was just like, do you know, I think you should take this music thing actually quite seriously. And I was like, do you think? And then he was like, yeah, mate, I'm telling you. And I was like, fair enough. And then 4 months later, I just released my first EP. That was the tipping point. And then from then on, I actually started taking music way more seriously.
Yeah, sounds like an interesting story that led to it.
I know. The origin story is hilarious.
So if he didn't say that, maybe you wouldn't even start, or like...
Maybe not. Or I don't even know. Who can say, really? Maybe I would have had some kind of other inspiration point that would have led me here. But that was definitely a moment that made me think, okay, I'm actually going to try now. I'm actually going to try and release music.
So then what you did, to basically just compose your own sound?
Yeah, I started making songs. I made a project that was called The Open Door. At that point, I was very, very interested in the concept behind the music rather than like the music itself. I was more so using, well, even to this day, I am still the same, more so using music as like a means to an end to convey a message. So that project was basically about addiction to technology and like social media and all these things and what it does to a person. And so the narrative of the project was framed around kind of like, when people go to Alcoholics Anonymous, like those kind of meetings where they sit in a group and say like, "Hi, my name is Frank and I'm an alcoholic. Hi, Frank," like that kind of thing. But it was a group. It was like a technology addiction. So everyone's going in, and it was like 5 songs on the project, and each song was from a different perspective of someone who has like a different problem or whatever, or has different thoughts. You know, after my friend said that, I was like, cool, I'm going to see what I can come up with. And then started making these songs, and then it eventually developed into that concept, that EP.
That was like a structure of that EP.
Yeah, it was literally like one song after the other. Before, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about the songs individually. I wasn't even thinking about singles. I was thinking about what does this song do for this song, and how does it reinforce the narrative of the whole thing. And then, yeah, just released that in like July to, I think a lot of people were probably surprised because I don't think many people knew I was doing music at the time. Everyone was like, right, okay, cool. Because I was singing on that project as well. I don't think many people, wanted to sing. So
how was the feedback? Or what did people say?
People were like, right, I was like, okay, fair enough. It's tough to think about now because I'm so far past like that style of, whatever I was producing back then. I actually think that EP, if I were to redo it now, I could improve it like a lot, or I would execute it way differently. It was very like rough and wild and like crazy, and stylistically it was kind of, I'm not going to say all over the place, but it was like, it seemed quite unfocused in terms of like the actual music of it. It was very conceptual. Like I was talking about things like Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis. I was bringing up like Plato's analogy of the cave. I was bringing up like some crazy...
So even such a deep stuff.
I was going mad. I was absolutely insane. Like you'd have to like read, like it'd be like, you'd hear what I'm saying and think, I have no idea what the hell he's talking about. Like you have to read the lyrics and then like Google what I'm saying. It was that kind of thing. So since then, I've kind of like toned it back a bit and thought, well, let me make it so that it's a little bit more accessible. People want to like at least like to listen to it sometimes without like wanting to break down entire concept. Ever since then, it's been like an attempt to try and find the balance between getting across a point and then also like having people enjoy just listening to the song, even if they don't want to.
So do you feel like you managed to find that balance?
I don't think I'll ever be able to find it. I think, music is, or, in any craft, I think you're always searching for perfection. I don't think you ever really truly find it, but I think it's more about the journey anyway. Along that journey, you start investigating different things and, trying different things out. And it's more about the exploration of different things that I think is more valuable than quote unquote perfection every artist might search out.
So how many, let's say, EPs or albums have you released since then?
Well, since that, I've released that one in 2018, and then I released another one in 2020. And that one was way more listenable. It was like actually kind of had a vibe to it, like as a whole. It was very nice and dreamy and airy. And obviously my singing had improved.
How many songs?
That one has 5 songs as well. Actually, I think the first one had 6, but the last song doesn't count. It's more like an interlude or whatever, or an outro, or like a skit. But this one like has 5 straight songs. And even still, I think like some of the concepts on that EP are a little bit more abstract. It is quite listenable. Like you can just listen to it. I think it sounds nice.
And did you actually make, physical CDs or?
I haven't. It's all on streaming and digital and stuff. I want to do things like vinyls and things like that, but I want to gather an audience first before I commit to doing something. I want to know that people would actually want to, buy it and things like that. So,
I can imagine it must be quite hard, right? There is probably big competition when people who, want to become singers or rappers or musicians.
100%. The market is very, very saturated, to be fair. I think it's more about how you approach it. I think finding a kind of niche is probably the best thing to do rather than like trying to infiltrate the popular music scene, because it can always, in my opinion, seems quite inauthentic if you just come through and try and do what everyone else is doing. I would much rather like try and bring people on to what I'm doing and like, make that as good as possible to attract people to it. I do think there's an audience for everybody. There probably is space for everybody, I think.
Yeah, especially in London, right? There must be a very everything.
Yeah, for sure. London's a bit, the UK is a bit different because the UK mainstream seems to focus on very specific genres of music. It seems to be like either drill or Afrobeats or like kind of just pop in general. These kind of niches are like generally just UK music. And because America is like so much bigger, there's a more potential for an artist to flourish within their community just because the community is bigger. Do you know what I mean? Because there's more people there. So you'll find the amount of times I come across a random artist on Spotify, just like 1 million monthly listeners. I've never heard of you in my life. Like 1 million monthly listeners? Like, who are you? I don't even know who you are. They've literally just got everybody in, and I didn't even know, like Ohio. Do you know what I mean? These kind of whatever niches, it's just so random. So yeah, but honestly, I do think there's like a space for anybody if they want to try and craft their lane.
So what is your way of advertising yourself or trying to get your name out there?
At the moment, I've been doing a lot of live shows.
Really? Like a concert?
Yeah. Performing live in and around London. I managed to do a festival in Sheffield last year called
nice.
Tramlines Festival. I just got given that opportunity completely on a random. And I was like, yeah, why not? And then literally just got the train up to Sheffield.
How was it?
It was quite good, actually. It was quite good. It was the biggest, like, in terms of stage, like, it was the biggest stage I'd ever performed at. To this day, I think, even as the biggest stage. And it was quite nerve-wracking because, you know, I'm at, like, a part of the day where there aren't that many people. People are just walking around. Like, some of the acts that went before me, it seemed like they kind of cleared out the area where, like, people were sitting. Like, not many people were paying attention to what was going on the stage that I was going to go on to. So I was thinking, man, I'm not going to go on and there's going to be like 5 people in the crowd. I'm going to think, like, this is going to be whatever. But went backstage, got ready, came out, you know, hopped on stage, started doing it. And then I guess I didn't really notice because I was quite focused. But as I started looking out, suddenly there was like loads of people there just like ready to listen to what I was doing. I was like, wow, even deeper. I was on stage. I was like, rah, there's like, what? Like at least 70 people here. That's crazy. Fair enough. Before I went backstage, there were like 5 people there. I was like, rah, okay, that's mad.
Did you get more stressed or the opposite, that it kind of energized you? And
I actually get more energized when there's more people there. I don't know. I guess most people would get more embarrassed, I assume, the more people are looking at them. I would get more embarrassed the less people are there because I like to engage people in the crowd. Like I like to talk to them. And if there's like 5 people there, I'm thinking, right, actually, I don't want to talk to the crowd because there's literally 5 people.
Yeah,
it's a little bit, if you're just talking to the one person and then like there's like 3 other people over there and that's it. I'd much rather like have a big amount of people there to actually respond to what I'm saying because I like to talk to the crowd. I like to
engage, right?
Engage. I have them respond. I have them like do like a repeat, call and response, repeat after me, and it's good to hear everybody like give energy back because it, you know, I think it keeps people engaged and you want people to be interested in what's going on.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, recently it's starting to take off even more. A bit like there's a big plans this year, I'd say, to do even more live shows and stuff. Other than the live shows, I'd say, you know, I'm on social media, Instagram, TikTok.
Even TikTok.
TikTok is a big one for artists. I wish I was on TikTok like 2-3 years ago when it was like actually people were actually popping off. Nowadays, it's a bit harder to pop off, I assume.
You need to find something to stand out, something
I know.
viral.
That's the jarring part of it. It's like, bro, how do you even go viral? Back then, you didn't even have to go viral. It was like you just had to put the music out there and people were like, raw music on TikTok. And then everyone was like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. That's how you get people like Pink Panthers and stuff like that. Shout out to Pink Panther, she's sick. But like, yeah, I wish I was there as well, man. I would have capitalized, boy, if I'd known. I didn't even know.
I didn't know it back then either. No surprise.
Who would have known? Who would have known? Shout out to the people that were up on the curve and managed to take advantage of it. I am doing it now. We'll see if something happens still.
And just coming back to those concerts, how does it work? Like, do you reach out to them? Do they reach out to you?
Currently, I have a manager now who is able to deal with a lot of the arrangements. The main issue I had making music was like figuring out how to actually like progress and like do things in the real world. Because, you know, it's a struggle when there's no like guidebook on how to like make things happen. And the thing that was stressing me out was like, you shouldn't do this, but like, it's a combination of like looking at other people's success and how they're doing it. You know, you're on Instagram, you're playing the comparison game and like everyone looks like they're doing well.
Yeah, especially on Instagram, posting just the best version of yourself.
Everyone's just putting their best foot forward and like, that's all you're seeing. So you think that that's their life unconsciously. That's just what you think, that's what their life is. But obviously everybody goes through, day in, day out struggles. They're not going to show that though. They're just going to show, oh, here's me, I just got like 1,000 streams on my song. I'm thinking, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you do it? And then you go on big artists Wikipedia pages and you're looking at their Wikipedia page and it's just like, oh, you know, started making music at blah in 2011, signed to Sony Entertainment in 2013. But excuse me, sir, like, what happened between those 2 years? Like, how did you get signed? What did you do? That's what's jarring. That was what was jarring me. I literally had no idea. So.
And then maybe you don't know that is one out of how many thousands?
Do you know what I mean? Like, literally, imagine, you know, you're seeing the success of one artist. You're thinking how many artists have tried and haven't been able to, or are still trying to make it or come up or whatever. You have no idea. You're only seeing the best of the best and you're thinking that's what there is. I'm not there, so something must be wrong or whatever. I don't know. But like, that was my main issue, was like figuring out how to make things happen. But I got a manager now, so she's been promoting me a lot. She's been helping me out and securing a lot of the shows.
Yeah, that sounds great. And how did you find the first one? How did you manage to break the first one to finally play somewhere live?
Oh man, the first one at this point, before this year, every single performance I'd done had just been happenstance of like knowing the person who either owns the venue or someone who is performing there and like needed a slot or something like that. The first live performance I'd ever done was at, it's a thing called Crate in St. James Street. It's kind of like Box Park in Shoreditch, but a little bit smaller. But it's just like a big collection of like random shops and, you know, the different outlets or whatever. And a friend of mine used to work there. And he said, he was just like, well, I mean, do you want to do a performance there on a random whatever day in September? I was like, yeah, why not? I never performed live. Let's try it out, see what happens. And then managed to do that there. And then, you know, that one was all right. That was my first performance. That was in 2019, I think. And then obviously COVID. So then I couldn't perform again after that. But then 2021, I was in touch with a girl who ran PR, public relations. And she, as we were doing a kind of like a photo shoot for something, she was just like, do you want to do a live performance at Folklore in Hoxton in Shoreditch? And I was like, yeah, okay, why not? For sure. And then did that. That was my second live performance. And then the third one I'd ever done was an artist I'd met who ran a magazine, had reached out to me and was just like, you know, I know you're an artist. Do you want to open up for me in Sheffield for one of my shows? And he's from Sheffield, one of his shows in hometown. And I was like, yeah, for sure. Why not? And then that was my third live performance. And then he was the one who was like, I'm actually curating a stage at Tramlines Festival in Sheffield. Do you want to perform there as well? I was like, for sure, why not? All four of my performances were just like, okay, I guess, why not? Just a random offer. And then, but now they're becoming a little bit more scheduled now that I have, you know, a few more contacts and
yeah. So do you want it to become something regular?
Performing?
Yeah.
I guess for now, I would want to perform more, yeah, because it leads to more exposure. And I like exploring how to operate the stage at a live show because, you know, I don't like half-assing anything. So I like doing things very interesting at a live show. I like to change the song in a way to do it live differently. And as I said, I like to engage the crowd. I like to talk about the concepts of the song and do different things in a live show that I think at the moment could lead to people getting interested in me as an artist and being engaged, maybe sticking with me and, you know, seeing how far we take this.
Yeah.
I think eventually it will probably get to a point where I probably won't be performing as much and mainly just for like tours for an album or like, you know, a festival or something like that. But never just like, it wouldn't just be sporadic performances. I think it'll be more organized and more few and far between, just to make them more of an event. I do eventually want to get to a point where people are like, you know, Simon's live, like, let's get a ticket. Oh, like, we got to get a ticket because who knows when.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
So are you like planning when you make a new or next album to actually prepare something like this, like a tour?
I mean, the thing is, I'm quite candid about how I want to structure my career or how I see it going. I know for a fact that I only want to do 7 albums in my career.
Why that?
Because I just think it's fun. There's a few reasons. Firstly, the number 7, don't ask me why. That was just the first number that just came to my head. I like the number 7. I think it's decently well-rounded. And I'm like, I think 7 is a good amount of albums because, career can span like 20, 25 years. You do 7 albums, you're like, all right, I think you've covered a lot of ground there.
So do you count those EPs or not?
No, not at all. I haven't produced any of the albums yet. And I know when I begin doing that cycle, that's when, the album thing will start. But like EPs, singles, they'll be outside of that realm. And secondly, the reason why I know I want to do that is because I just don't want to fall off. I don't want to like have my career peter out into, irrelevancy. It might happen, but like at least I know for a fact that I'll be going out on my own terms and know for a fact that, I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is the last one. And then after that, it enables me to put more energy into each project because I know there's less of them. It's not indefinite. Like I know for a fact this is one of the 7 albums that I'm doing. And then, it's a seal of quality, basically. You would know for a fact if you care to listen. You would know for a fact I'm putting a lot into this album because there are only 7 of them. So,
yeah. I mean, that's understandable. So yeah. It's
and
interesting
also,
idea.
I've never seen it done before, so I want to try something new.
It reminded me of something. Just a quick one. If you enjoy our podcast, please give us a review on your favorite podcast app, subscribe or share it with your friends. For more information, visit the show notes. Thank you, and back to the show. You know what? It reminded me of Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah, he said he only wants to do 10 films.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And isn't his 10th and final? He just announced his 10th and final one.
I think so, because I wasn't sure if the previous one was 10th one or now is 10th one coming, but I read that it's going to be about this female movie critic, right?
Yeah, it's a critic. Yeah, it's called The Critic or something. The Movie Critic or something.
Yeah. It's a good idea. I agree.
Yeah. That leads me on to another thing, is that the way I view, structuring a lot of my music is, it really does come from a film perspective, to be honest. I do think I value the music and the quality of music, but I want these albums to carry concepts and have a kind of like impact as if it were a movie by a director. I want people to think about the albums as if I were a director. When Christopher Nolan releases a new film, he's like, well, what's this film going to be about? I want people to think the same way about the music that I make on every single thing I release.
Yeah, it's interesting that you think it through as much, because it's like a film that you go to cinema and it's not like just to enjoy, but it makes you think after you leave.
That's the aim.
You want to revisit it again. So yeah, good way to think about it like this.
Yeah.
I agree.
I just think it's fun. I think it's fun to, put a lot of thought into something. I think it gives you the best possible result. I like planning things. I like improvising sometimes, but I just like having structure. I think when something has structure to it and like it's visible, I'm just a big fan of it. So I just thought, let me just approach my entire music career from that perspective as well, because why not? I'm already here. I'm thinking about it. That was my thought. When I came up with the plan is, I'm already thinking about it. So like, I might as well just do it now and like think about what we're doing in the future now, because I'm already thinking about it. So I don't have to scrounge around and think, oh, what do I do next? I already know. I already know what this album, because I already know what all the albums are going to be about.
Oh, so you got it even planned like this?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I know what they are. I know what they're going to be covering. I know what they're called.
I guess you don't want to say that yet.
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
It makes sense, yeah.
No way. That's what makes, because then that's what makes it fun. I know, but nobody else does, and that's what makes people think, raw. Like, it's so thought through. It's like, bro, I thought about all of this when I was like 20. I have no idea.
Do you think you will change it, or it's like not going to change it?
I'm open to having fluctuations in the plan, because, you never really know. Something might come up and something might change. But I do kind of want to stick to it because I've put a lot of thought into it at this point, and I've given the plan a lot of leeway to kind of switch up. I know the specific order of the things I want them to release in, but like, for example, the way they sound, I have the general topics, but like the individual intricate elements of the topics or whatever, I'm ready to think about like when the time actually comes. So it's a little bit more organic, but it just allows me to know I'm not going to be lost when that time comes to, I'm ready for the 3rd album now. Like, I know what that's going to be. So I'm ready to go.
It reminds me, I read about some book authors, and there's like what I like to read. And he says that he's writing a book, and when he finishes, he already knows next one that is coming. So basically, it's not like you finish and then like, what now? No, I'm done. What am I going to do with my life? But you already know what is the next project and jump on it after that. So I think it's a great way to approach work like this and stay productive and work like that. Yeah,
That's true.
and have you got a time scale in your mind? Do you know when you start maybe working on the first album?
I couldn't tell you when, because I don't actually know, but like, I know that when the time comes, I'll know I'm ready to begin, because like, I do want people on board for the first one specifically, because that's like the introduction, people are ready to, I'm okay with like, the audience getting bigger and bigger as time goes on. I've given a lot of importance to these 7 albums, the whole run. So I don't really want to have like too minimal of an audience there, because it would just, I don't know, I guess it would just hurt me internally to like release it and it just doesn't get.
Make a good first impression.
100%, yeah. The thing is to consider is at the moment, I'm currently making a first impression to everybody, basically. Whoever is listening to me is probably listening to me for the first time. So everything I make currently, I make it with the thought of, this is probably the first song of mine that someone will hear, or like this is the first project of mine that someone will hear. So everything is pretty much an intro, but I know when that time comes and I'm ready to, okay, now I'm ready, let's begin the plan. And then like, now we're going to go album 1. That's when it'll come. The only date of structure I have is a specific year. It's 2031.
Is it for the last album, for the first album, or?
No, that's actually for, this one is a dumb, crazy concept, but essentially what I'd figured out, or like kind of just thought about, is that a lot of great artists release what is their best work, quote unquote, is their best work when they're around the age of 32, or like 33 or 32. And I'm going to be 32 in the year 2031.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah. So I don't think it will be the first album or the last one, but I'm banking on it being my best one. Whatever I release in that year, that'll be my best album. I have no idea which one. It's either, I think it'll even be the 3rd or 4th. I don't know. But that one will probably, maybe, I guess, according to my rules, be the best one. But we'll see.
It makes sense. It's kind of interesting to think about it like this.
Yeah. I just like playing around with like, just making things, like solidifying things, and just, it being random and just having a concept that plays out pretty much.
And I guess once you start working on it, are you going to release like songs with music videos as, regular artists?
Oh yeah, I already currently do. I have loads of music videos out with my songs already.
Do you even record those by yourself?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I have some help. I have a lot of my friends who are ready and willing to like help me film things and do all of that. But yeah, generally a lot of the time I edit it myself and, release it by myself. They're all tie-ins to different songs that I released over there.
So what are you working on now?
At the moment, I actually, the other day, was it yesterday, I suppose, from the recording of this, I released a music video for a song that I'd released last week. Their song was called They're Laughing. It's basically, the song is essentially about how a lot of people seem to kind of complain about things like unnecessarily, and then because they're complaining about things and they're not moving to action, they kind of move past it and complain and then forget about it, and nothing ever changes. And because nothing changes, the thing or the things that they complain about, they don't even care. They don't care that they complain. So, it doesn't really matter much. And, the people that people might complain about, because they know there's not going to be any repercussions for these complaints, they're laughing. And that's the thought behind the song. It's framed from 2 different perspectives. That in the song, the person speaking first, or the narrator at first, is from the perspective of those people who complain and then forget. And, it's a lot of these lyrics are quite like hypocritical and kind of, you would think is quite dumb when put into the perspective, but these are things that people might actually say.
I will have a look and listen after.
Oh yeah, you should. Yeah, no, definitely. And then I released the music video for that yesterday. And the music video it has a video collage kind of style to it. Each clip just gets overlaid on top of each other. And it ends with, I got this like program to have it's like an AI face lip sync to my song. So like there's these different kind of like AI, they seem like quite professional people. Obviously they're like made up people, robots or whatever. but they're kind of like lip syncing to the second part of the song, which is from the perspective of the people who people might complain about, or the things that people might complain about. So yeah, it's like really ominous, really thing. But the song is quite vibey, to be fair. Like,
Party song.
very, very, very. I think it's my bravest song, I think, that I've ever made, because it's quite in your face with it. I do try and generally be quite nice with it currently and have the concept there, but I'm not like bashing you over the head with the concept. But this one's quite like, it's quite in your face, like this is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So, but I do think it's interesting because sometimes you just have to challenge.
Yeah, of course. And it's good to try new things because you never know. Maybe it can become viral.
You never know.
Yeah.
We'll see. I'm gonna still promote it.
How long you spent on it? How long does it take to write a song, to record it, to then video? I cannot imagine.
I mean, it can vary. Some songs I've made very, very quickly. Maybe in like, I don't know, I couldn't count because each song has a different kind of process of creation to it. You might start with the lyrics and then make the beat, or you might start with the instrumental and then write lyrics on top, and then you might have a section of an instrumental that expands out.
So it's always different?
Change. Yeah, the order can always change from song to song. That song, I think, I remember coming up with it like kind of late last year, maybe in September. I'd kind of come up with the concept and then kind of recorded the song and made it in maybe those 3 months. And I think I was maybe done with it maybe around January time.
Mm-hmm.
And then so from there, it was just like, I like to sit with the song a lot. I'm quite slow in like the creation process because I want ideas to come naturally and have things just happen without me sitting down and thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I do for this? Blah, blah, blah. So it was just sitting there and I was thinking about how I could possibly present, what would be the best way to present this song. Because it is just a song and obviously the concept is in the song, but like I'm thinking, what's the best way to expand this outwards into kind of like a world? So I started to explore, and came across a thing on TikTok. It's kind of like an art movement called core.
Never heard of it.
Have you ever heard like, when people might take a word and then add core to the end, like gorp core or like...
Yeah, I think I heard
something like that. It's usually to do with fashion, but it can be other forms of art as well. But core is kind of like a parody of that, and it deals with like existentialism. So a lot of the videos that present themselves as core videos are kind of video collages of different videos of that give across a theme, like a specific theme. Like one could be about work culture, and it's just all sorts of different videos of people talking about like, I work for a living, but I'm not really able to do anything. Or from the other side, people promoting work. And it's like to get across a specific message of, this is what work life is now in the 21st century. And how do you feel about it? I saw that and thought, wow, this is really like actually quite cool. And then organically, I thought, oh, this could probably connect to that song that I'd made in January, the whatever. So then I started to combine those two ideas. And then that's how I decided to present the song in that kind of way and align it with that style of video. And
And does that happen, for example, that you got an idea, so you sit down and you write the song during the night?
All the time. The amount of times I've like been going to sleep, like I'm in bed and then like...
And your brain starts working.
My brain, something just clicks and I'm like, oh man, I have to go to sit at the computer. Actually, like, I don't want to forget it because it's good. I'm like, fuck, now I'm going to bed at like 1 a.m. But inspiration can strike at any point in time and you never know.
And then, just for example, you wake up the next day and in the morning and you look at it and you say, oh, that's actually great. Or is it like, oh, it's not good?
Sometimes I have an idea in my head and I might get it down and immediately think, actually, whatever was in my head, it's not this. Like, this isn't good, actually. It can be quite hard to translate like a really good idea in my head into like the program because like, I don't actually know what instruments are being used in my head. So I'm trying to like find the kind of equivalent to that on the program. And then it might not sound exactly how in my head. So I might be a little bit disappointed. And it's like, and it depends. It can depend. Sometimes I might record something and then go back to it and think, you know what, like we can work from this. This can be a jumping point. Sometimes I might record just a section of, generally it's like a section of an idea. Like I never come up with an entire song. I just have like a kind of section or a kind of like verse or chorus or a motif that I want to put down that I eventually just return to and kind of expand outwards when I have more ideas for it. So that's the way.
So I can imagine, do you have like more songs kind of in a process that you are working on? Or is it like one song that you are working on and once you are finished, you go to the next one?
Oh, I have no, yeah. There's loads and loads in the works, like loads of finished ones as well. The thing is, I can have loads of ideas, but when I'm close to finishing a song or a song is looking more and more complete, I start to focus more on that song, and then because I'm into it now, like I'm ready.
Yeah.
This is actually shaping up to be a song, so I start focusing on it more and paying more attention and try and finish that one first because I'm just more engaged in that one, and then eventually return to the other projects.
And I was curious, when it comes to making music, like a sound, do you just use your keyboard or do you actually have like, proper keyboard as a, pianist or something?
I do have a little piano. I have it. It's up there actually.
So do you use it to compose the music or just software, or how does it work?
The way I work is because I can play piano, but I can generally only play what I need to play in that moment. I kind of have the piano there, but generally when I make a song, I use the software to kind of put the notes in. You can like double click and write a note into like a piano roll. You can make a chord there. And then when I've like made that progression or shaping up to be like a thing, I then go and record that progression again, naturally with the piano, with me actually playing it live, just to add that, the feeling of it's actually being played like properly. You can record something, but it will still sound digital because, there's a lot of fine tunements when you play live that you're not able to replicate unless you want to work for like 50 hours, which I can't be bothered. So I just want to learn the piece and then just play it. And then
the software, is it free or you need to pay for it?
It's not free. Now, Ableton is, I think it's like £400, but it's not like Adobe CC. Like it's not, you don't pay perpetually forever. You just like buy the software once and then
you get it.
Have it forever.
And how hard is it to learn it?
The reason why I chose Ableton was specifically because it had the most similarities to Premiere Pro, which I was using for ages before that. It had a similar kind of timeline vibe to it. You're able to like, what are keyframes basically to like do automation and things happen. So I kind of jumped into Ableton and it felt quite natural. And then I just, you learn as you go on, you start to learn more things about the program and explore different parts of it. But yeah, I guess even to this day, I'm still learning things. I'm still like, I didn't even know how to even do that now, do what like Control Shift K is like this as it does this. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Didn't even know that.
And is it like a industry standard, something very popular, or is it just the one you picked because it worked for you?
It's in music, a lot of people, it's more so preference. So like, I wouldn't say there's necessarily one program that like everybody uses. It's not like, I guess in film, it would either be like Premiere Pro or Avid Media.
Yeah, or DaVinci maybe.
Whatever. Or even DaVinci, like basically. In music, it's more so like whatever you just are using. It could either be Ableton, it could be Logic, it could even be GarageBand if you're like, whatever.
No, it's on Mac, isn't it? Or
yeah,
Apple.
Yeah, exactly. I was so close to getting Logic. I was like, I want to work in Logic just because, but I don't have a Mac. So I was like, man, am I really going to like dual boot Mac OS on my Windows PC just so I can get Logic? I was like, no. What else can I use? And then I found Ableton. I was like, okay, I guess I'll just use this one.
So happy with the choice you did?
I think Ableton is very powerful. Like it has a lot of options and like capabilities of what you can do with music. So
when it comes to recording, not composing, but recording your singing, what do you use for that?
I have this exact mic that I'm using for this.
Oh, this one?
Podcast. Yeah. You can't even see it. Hold on, let me bring it up.
Oh, nice.
Shout out to the podcast listeners. You have no idea. I actually got this for Christmas a few years ago, and my brother got it for me just because he knew I wanted to do music. So I was just like, yeah. And it's this exact same mic that I've just been using ever since, and I haven't upgraded it. I know it costs like £20. It's very cheap.
I thought that you would say like it was several £100 because it's professional.
I know. I Googled it. You can get it on Amazon. It's like, you can get the mic and you can get the little mic stand and like the little pop filter thing, like £25. It really doesn't cost a lot to do this stuff. You know what I mean?
And does the job.
Yeah.
The music you edit in the same software as you compose?
Yes. So everything just happens in Ableton. Like you record into there, you can make record chords, you can do all sorts of stuff, and then you kind of mix. You can even mix and master in Ableton if you want to.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But yeah.
And where do you record? Is it at home or do you go somewhere to studio?
I literally record right here in this bedroom. in my bedroom. I have this mic here. I generally kind of like set up maybe some clothes around the area just to like dampen the sound. Or I mean like, dry out the room, absorb sound. Like, you go to a studio, there's like sponges and stuff like around.
Yeah, like on the walls.
Yeah, because it just soundproofs the room and just stops reverb and echo and stuff like that. So I just put a lot of stuff around the area where I'm recording just to absorb extra sound so it sounds a bit more clean, and yeah, just record it right here.
And have you tried recording in studio?
I also have recorded in a studio before. I recorded at Pirate Studios because they have another mic and it was cool.
Did you see the difference, like in the recording?
It wasn't really that much different. I think they had a more professional mic, but like, I mean, it sounds just like my mic, to be fair. It was a similar process. It was just me recording it as well. So like, it was a similar kind of vibe. I was just hitting record, going over there and then just, and just singing into the mic. It was a similar thing.
And I can imagine it might be quite expensive to book like a studio to record there, or isn't it?
When you start going to like the more like independent studios or like professional studios, they all charge different rates. I guess I like Pirate because Pirate Studios is like a local studio. It's 24 hours. You can book it whenever.
Is it somewhere nearby where you live?
They got loads of locations around. My nearest one is Tottenham. So I just go to that one. It's literally like 20 minutes away. Hop in there, bring my laptop in there. But I mainly use Pirate Studios now. I use that studio as more of a rehearsal space than a recording space. I can record in my bedroom, but like, only at times because, to perform, you're singing loudly. You don't want to disturb everybody else.
I was going to say that. Or you don't want to start recording and suddenly listen to your neighbor doing the lawn or something.
Or I can hear my parents speaking downstairs. I'm like, bro, stop. It's terrible. So yeah, I mainly do use it as a rehearsal space nowadays because, you're able to like do all sorts of stuff. You can be loud, you can play music loud.
And when you are recording, how many attempts do you need to make before you are happy?
It can really vary. Sometimes I get it like, one take. I'm like, bro, I just killed it. Like, that's done. It can really depend. When you're recording, there's this concept called comping, which is basically where you might do multiple takes of a similar line. Or like maybe just kind of like, when they're in film, when you punch in, it's like a similar concept, basically, kind of like ADR. Like you have a kind of one take and then a little section of it, you might just re-record and then like kind of drop that in and blend it into the rest of the thing. So it sounds like it's one clip and all that. Comping is a similar thing. You might just combine different takes from different areas of different takes into one big take and it sounds like it's one take. It can vary from song to song. Sometimes I might do one, generally, a lot of the time I might like begin recording, I start singing and think, yeah, no, I flopped that. It doesn't even count as a take. I don't even have it saved. I just literally delete it and start again. I got to get that first part right before it's more of an energy thing. Like I'm going to nail this take like in the first 2 seconds of even beginning. So it's just like, I know the energy, record it. Generally, from what I remember, average 3 or 4 takes.
And do you like continue until you finally record it and are happy with it? Or do you also finish and say like, I'm going to continue tomorrow?
Generally, when I'm recording, I record in one go. Because like, it's about getting the opportunity to even record. You have to know there's the right conditions. I get I do get a little bit embarrassed singing when there's other people in the house. Because I know they're just listening to me singing loud.
Didn't they get used to it yet?
I'm sure they are. I do like announce it. I'm recording something now. Like, okay, fair enough, whatever. I don't like them hearing me flop. My voice might crack and I'm thinking, oh God, I'm really struggling to hit. I know they can hear me. So I just want to, have the opportunity to record. And when I do, I just do it all in one go.
And is your family or your parents also musicians?
No, literally. I have no musical ties to the industry whatsoever. I just decided I want to do music and then now I'm kind of like getting into the world.
Or are they filmmakers or not even filmmakers?
Not even. Yeah, not even. I do come from a generally artsy background. Like my brother works in architecture. He does like 3D visualizations or interior visualizations. And my sister is like a fashion designer. So generally a lot of like artsy people in the family. Nobody doing film or music. So I'm an offshoot.
And when it comes to doing music videos, do you have a group for it? Or do you do it by yourself or with friends? Or what's the process like?
Sometimes I do it by myself. Sometimes I might call my friend, hey, can you help me record this or whatever? And they're like, yeah, for sure, let's do it. Generally, though, the edit is left to me. So I just come through. And once, I know I've got all the footage. Because I'm making it for myself, I'm way more loose with the process. Like I kind of record knowing that I'm going to edit it. So like I just kind of just shoot it, and then I know where it's going to go. I know what part I'm doing it for. And, you know, I'm lip syncing to the song. I have the song in my phone, my phone's in my pocket. And so, yeah, but then, you know, done with the shoot, and I come back and edit it. And
try to do it on a budget as well.
very much so. I assume that's going to expand. That's probably going to change at some point. Because I do have plans to do like big, you know, not really necessarily big budget music videos, but like music videos that I explore a little bit more. That's obviously going to require a budget. So yeah, but at the moment, because it's just me, it's more about returns on the investment. Just want to save money because I know not too many people are looking right now. So maybe I wouldn't want to spend too much money on something that I know is not going to.
And how do you pick the songs for which you make the videos?
I like doing music videos for all my songs.
Really? You have so many.
I know. I have a lot of videos. There's some songs that don't have videos, but like when it's a single, I do like to just tie a music video to it because I just think it's a fun part of, you know, a single release. For my EP in 2020, the EP was called Way to Go. It has 5 songs and 4 of them each have music videos, just because, you know, I wanted music videos to be part of the release strategy, and I wanted them to expand on the world of the project.
Don't you ever struggle creatively that you don't know what kind of video do for that?
The thing is, I wouldn't necessarily say I struggle, because as I said, like, I'm never stressing. Like, I'm literally just sitting with the song thinking, I'm just going to wait for some inspiration to strike on this. And then a lot of the times it just does. Or sometimes when I'm making the song, I'll have like a visual in mind that just translates into the music video, and then I just approach that, and from there it just expands out. But if I'm kind of ever stuck on a way I want to approach a concept, I might just hop on Pinterest and like create kind of like mood board.
Yeah, sounds good. Because I was going to ask you how you look for inspiration.
I mean, yeah, inspiration, as I said, a lot of the times it just comes to me, but if I really want to search out, I do kind of just like gather things online. Different music videos that I want to reference, different visuals that I want to kind of spring from Pinterest, other magazine sites.
Or even from other artists, like other singers or rappers.
Other music videos even, yeah, other music videos from different artists. Look at them and think, I want to try something like that in my own kind of way.
I will need to have a look, because I was curious if you do it rather like, you know, walking on a street, someone recording you singing, or if it's like the opposite, or rather something artistic that, as you said before, this AI with stuff and a lot of edits.
The way I approach a lot of the music videos is I kind of base them around a single concept that I want to explore. So, or like maybe a technique that I want to explore. For example, for the most recent music video, the concept or technique that I wanted to explore was video collage. That music video is based around that. And then like, that's the entire thing. The last video that I made was for a song that I released in January. It was called I'd Make Some Changes. And for that one, I literally just wanted to make it a kind of like a travel vlog. I'd went on a trip last year to Greece with my friends, documented a lot of it. In the middle of it, I knew I wanted to make this music video. So I would maybe do some shots of me performing the song in different areas around Greece, and then ended up just compiling all of those videos into that music video, just so it seems a little more natural. It gives it a nice, good vibe. For another video before that, the concept I wanted to explore was the one take. I knew I wanted to do a one take film. So there's a music video for one of my songs. It's called To Stay Here. And the concept is, I mean, yeah, literally, I just know I want to do like a kind of pseudo one take music video. I was like, called my friend, he also studies film. I was like, Jonah, well, what do you think about this? Let's explore this. He was like, yeah, let's go for it. He has a little gimbal. And then we went around London, and then, you know, I'm basically doing a one take as me walking around doing different things, and kind of crafted a story around that.
So was it one take in the end, or did you fake it?
It's one take, quote unquote. There are like really big, there's long takes, but it is kind of spliced together to make it look like one take pretty much. So it's that. But yeah, now each music video, I approach it with the idea of, I want to try this in this music video. And then it just kind of expands from there.
Yeah, I will need to have a look. I should have probably researched more. I'm sorry.
That's fair. It's fine. It's fine.
But it was great to catch up, and I'm glad to hear that, you know, you're pursuing your passion and working on it and doing what you enjoy.
Thank you very much. Oh, same. I'm glad to hear that you've started this podcast, and, you know, you're really trying to go for it. I admire it.
Thank you. We'll see how it goes.
No, I'm down.
Cool. Thank you, Simon. And
Thank you for having me.
we'll get in touch soon.
Thank you. Thank you very much, man. I hope you have a good evening.
Thank you. Same. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you for listening to Produce Bar. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast app, leave a review, or send us your feedback. For more information about the host, links from the episode, and ways to connect with us, visit the show notes. If you know someone who would be an ideal guest for our podcast, please get in touch. Thank you and see you soon.